Dr. Stone New World. Let's see what they got going on. They revived a sailor? Is that a pirate ship? And an insanely evil villain? Hold up, this is basically just a One Piece arc. Atikero yume wo kakiyatsume. Dr. Stone is so funny for the way they started season 3. They really waited for the love child of Tarzan and Piccolo from Baki to get packed up, whose entire ideology was that he hated greedy people, to then straight away revive the greediest person in the whole show. And then they got the audacity to end the season with one of my favorite arc conclusions in all of anime. But hey, I've seen the love you guys gave on the last video, so I had to spin back with the next one ASAP. So let's cut the yapping and get straight into the meat and potatoes. After they decided to give Tsukasa the Levi Ackerman treatment because he was too OP, they joined forces with all the people of the Tsukasa Empire, and we get this funny segment where Chrome and the others are retelling all the lore that happened up until now. It's kind of like when Aang and the gang went to watch that play in Avatar The Last Airbender. After rallying the troops, they begin to make their boat because they want to go to the origin of where the petrification beam started. Even though they are making a ship, they still need a captain to pirate it, otherwise they'll just end up like Luffy and Zoro before they met Nami. They get the blonde haired teacher from Assassination Classroom to help them find the most skilled person possible. That's when we learn about Nanami Ryusui, a spoiled nepo baby who was by far the most skilled sailboat sailor of their generation. Even though he's skilled, he's also the literal reincarnate of greed and gluttony, so Tsukasa would have hated him. It's probably for the better if they revive someone else. Yeah, you already know Senku values ability over personality, so with that, Ryusui is officially revived. And without even being revived for 5 seconds, this guy is already talking about women and money. And just off topic, how much do you guys think Ryusui was packing for the entire cast to have this reaction to seeing his pecker? Kohaku looks terrified, bro. Like, look at it. Yeah, I'm sorry, bro, I'm sorry. Even though he's been displaying Subaru levels of greed, he clearly knows what he's talking about and tells Senku that he's gonna need a lot more equipment if he wants to make this boat to reach the other side of the world. They first start looking for an oil field to use it as a fuel source, but Ryusui has claimed it and says that they'll need to pay him since he's the only sailor skilled enough to sail their boat. And I kid you not even 2 minutes later, this man has already created his own Fugazi currency and already got people working for him. It won't be long before we start paying taxes.
I don't want to meet nowhere. Pull up in front of my house. Matter of fact, you ain't even got to pull up in front of my house. Pull up in front of the precinct and let's bang out. Right down the block. You know where's that? You studied my whole neighborhood. Or pull up in front of the Kmart and let's bang out and let's do it on camera. I throw my life away and you throw your life away right now. Right now. Let's do it for the camera. Right now. And if you win, I'll make sure I got like $70,000 in my pocket. If you body me, you can take the money. Right now. I hate you, nigga. Let's die. Right now.
After Kohaku, Norman and Chrome go searching for the oil, they run into a whole waterfall which isn't meant to be there. That's when they realize that Mount Fuji has likely erupted 6 or 7 times since they were petrified, completely changing the Japan landscape and now making their Japanese map knowledge useless. This is really how it felt returning to Bird Game 3 after not playing Bird Game 2. Senku and the team decide to create a hot air balloon so that they can make a new map from the sky. I know. It's gotten to the point where if you told me Senku is going to make a time machine on some Jimmy Neutron antics, I would actually believe you. I think it's time to accept that this is the smartest anime character of all time. No one even comes remotely close. Like, if you think you know an anime character that comes close, put it in the comments. Fast forward, and after playing a quick game of Dress to Impress, they speedrun the hot air balloon. Senku, Ryusui, and Chrome begin to take off, and just as they make it to the peak, the sun begins to rise. Sensational. I want to try going on an air balloon at least once. They are planning to take the balloon to Ishigami village, which is usually a 2-day walk, but they can do it by balloon in 2 hours. It was meant to be a calm little excursion, but we all know Senku has horrible luck, so they get pulled up on by Sasuke's Kirin. They use their last bottle of revival fluid to ride their way above the clouds and eventually make it back to Ishigami village. And just like that, a new trio is born. After landing in the village, they have their classic One Piece banquet, but this spread is looking horrible. I'm seeing raccoon toes, rabbit knuckles, and Arby's missing people meat. If I was Ryusui, I'd be sick too. They start their next side quest to try to gather some resources and hopefully spot oil, and this little Minecraft animation was actually in the show. I love the fact that they've just embraced that they are basically Minecraft the anime. After some more off-camera mining and going on their whole Vinland Saga, Farmland Saga arc, they try to make their own bread just for it to taste like straight chum bucket eats, so they decide to revive a real chef. Ryusui suggests his butler Francois, and imagine being so devoted to someone that after waking up 3,700 years later, the first thought on your mind is serving him. This is really how Ness from Blue Lock was moving for Kaiser. She wasted no time and starts cooking sweet bread that should be able to stay good for their 10-month voyage. After they finish making their bread, Senku promised Minami he'd make her a camera in exchange for the last of her revival fluid, so they end up killing 2 birds with 1 stone, since the camera will also allow them to map the new Japan landscape easier. And lo and behold, they end up using a boat to find the oil, and after testing it on a speedboat, they get 1 step closer to finishing their big pirate ship. They move on to making a GPS so they can set up a radio beacon in the Tsukasa Empire. Ruri is the one who gets to say the first words this time, and just as she is about to confess her love to Chrome,
Are you the masterminds behind humanity's petrification? So we finally meet. Been waiting 3,700 years for this. I can't help but get excited.
Damn, this horror-esque scene completely caught me off guard after seeing how slice of lifey everything was up to this point. Whilst they were trying to contact Ruri, their signal gets interrupted by a Morse code message that simply says why, on repeat. And obviously that's terrifying considering everyone in the world should be petrified, meaning that this is likely the person who petrified everyone. The Science Kingdom's greatest minds come together and deduce that Why Man is likely an enemy, so they create a radar in an attempt to locate where the sound is coming from. We end up finding a little bit of background on Ryusui, and he's really grown on me as a character. He kind of reminds me of like the new Greed from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
When it comes to deep desire, it's a simple task to convince oneself that a want is hardly a need.
Greed may not be good, but it's not so bad either.
But Master Ryusui doesn't lie to himself. When he wants something, he proclaims as such and works for it.
You humans think greed is just for money and power, but everyone wants something they don't have.
Because greed equals justice.
Whenever someone tells him he can't do something that he wants to do, he works extra hard to make sure he reaches his goal. People only call Ryusui self-indulgent because he refuses to conform to the status quo and lives a life people are too afraid to live themselves. If you apply that mentality to real life and continue to chase your goal relentlessly, regardless of whether society tells you it's possible or not, you could truly get far in life. So take that leap of faith, start that business, start that YouTube channel, pursue that sport, just never give up. Be greedy when it comes to your dreams and your desires. Hey, you guys wanted Hope Core, so I'ma just keep them coming. Senku and Ryusui team up to finish making the boat, and it wouldn't be a One Piece arc without your fair dose of fan service. I know for a fact Boichi and the Marvel Rivals developers would be great friends. Anyways, after grinding for more than a year, they finally finished the ship Perseus. They now need to split into two teams, the World Exploration team that goes with Ryusui, and then the Humanity Development team that will stay behind and continue advancing civilization. Just a quick PSA, I know I'm butchering Ryusui's name, I just don't know how to say it properly. Ryusui has drafted his fantasy football team, but even if you're called out, you're free to stay behind if you want. On Team Ryusui are Senku, Kasaki, Chrome, Yuzuriha, Ukyo, Francois, Kohaku, Yo, Taiju, the Muscle Mummy, Magma, Lord Farquaad, Kinro, Gen, and finally Ginro. I'm not gonna lie, for whatever reason this felt super hyped. It kinda reminds me of when Ego announced the Blue Lock 11. They also take Hyoga and Homura in case they try to escape. Ginro stayed behind because he wasn't feeling it, but at the very last minute bro decided to risk all his aura and pretend to go after the ship. He was hoping they were too far away so he could just swim back to shore, but his aura gamble didn't pay off because Taiji ended up grabbing him and bringing him to the ship anyways. The first island they want to visit is the Treasure Island Senku's dad and the other scientists initially landed on, because it has the remains of the spaceship as well as the treasure box, which holds a bunch of important items mentioned in the 100 Tales. They specifically need the platinum that's on the Soyuz spaceship because it will allow them to make an infinite amount of revival fluid. That's when this random baldy pulls up and reveals that he isn't actually from Ishigami village and washed up on shore one day as a random lady took him in. He's been basically running around as a no-name brown shirt bronze card until now, when he reveals that his name is Soyuz and that Treasure Island is his real home. I'm not gonna lie, this is exactly how I felt when I saw the Stranger Things season 5 trailer and I saw this random character that I have never seen before. This also means that Treasure Island likely isn't deserted and has a whole tribe of people living on it. Damn. They continue their journey with this information, and is Ryusui drinking matcha? I know damn well bro was rocking them quarter zips too. Anyways, after pushing through a storm, they make it to Treasure Island and decide to send a small team to scout it out. Senku, Soyuz, Kohaku, and Gen go in when Ukyo spots something on his sonar. He sends Ginro to investigate when he spots stone statues at the bottom of the ocean. Normally this would be a pretty normal occurrence since everyone got petrified, but then Ukyo on his Officer Doke's timing realizes that this doesn't add up, because when the petrification happened, this island was basically uninhabited, which means that these are new statues created after the astronauts came. This is genuinely insane. We cut over to Kohaku, who says he saw a light coming from the boat, so they go to take high ground to see whether they can get in contact with the crew when... What? Everyone on the boat has been petrified. When I first saw this, I was genuinely flabbergasted. Senku and the gang decide to focus on getting the platinum so they can revive everyone, because if they get petrified, they may as well restart the save file. They find some leftover seashells and use those to try and track down one of the locals. Her name is Amaryllis, and long story short, I don't know if this is too niche, but if you guys remember Terahashi from Psyche K, this is literally her. Tell me they don't act the exact same.
It didn't work! My irresistible charms were resisted! Is that even possible? But I'm so adorable! But you've fallen in love. That's okay. Even though we're on separate social levels, it's a natural response to my beauty.
We find out about some secret master that's going to take her away and also has the ability to turn people into stone. She says that her plan was to become as pretty as possible to infiltrate the master's palace and steal the petrification beam to save her village. And after seeing a display of strength from the science team, she asked them for their help. We find out some background lore about Amaryllis, and when she was 13, she gave in to peer pressure and joined her friends on some river side quest. That's when the right and left hand guards of the master pulled up and used some type of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure contraption to radiate the same light that petrified Senku and them 3,700 years ago, turning all her friends into stone, leaving her as the only one alive. Damn. This just left me with more questions than answers, like, is this some type of Yu-Gi-Oh ancient weapon? How do they have it? And why is Kirasame wearing see-through clothes? And why does this guy look like Tsukasa? Every year the master chooses the most beautiful girls from each village and adds them to his harem. Amaryllis realized that if they are using a weapon, she can just get close to the master and attempt to steal it. Alongside Amaryllis, they decide to send in Kohaku and doll her up to make her as cute as possible. They'll need the lab, but it's currently being occupied by Kevin Durant and Kirasame. After Ibara breaks Chrome's statue, Kohaku leaps in but gets caught by Kirasame, who's aura farming in front of the moon like Itachi. Someone needs to tell her that her clothes are see-through, bruh. Boichi, I know what kind of man you are. She cartwheels off a 20-foot cliff and lands a "I wanna be kung fu fighting" kick, shattering the rocks. Kohaku tries to fight back but gets stuck in her dress, so Kirasame lands a head kick, followed up by a 50-hit Batman combo. Damn! Kohaku screams out and says she needs the lab in the hopes that someone on the ship managed to survive. Since all these people won't know what the lab is, it's basically like a secret message, and Gen leaps in pretending that Senku's name is the lab, which makes for this hilarious moment of Kohaku kissing Senku. I'm sure my Kohaku Senku shippers love this scene. We cut back a few hours to when the crew got petrified, and we see that Kirasame walked up and used a petrification device. Luckily, Ryusui and Ukyo were locked into the max and managed to slightly knock away his trajectory. Ryusui tried to save a single person and hit Suika with an Orewada Strikada, sending her out of range of the beam. Hold up, beam? This sounds like Hagakure upscale to me. Ginro also managed to survive and was actually able to hear Kohaku, and the way the gang reacts to finding out Ginro is the only one left on the ship is the same way I'd react if Usopp came to save me instead of Luffy. Luckily Suika is there, and she's already been cooking by hiding their escape boat and saving Ginro from getting caught. I said it before and I'll say it again. Suika has been top 5 most useful characters since the first season. Ginro ends up locking in, and him and Suika manage to get the lab back to the gang. The Ibara guy keeps looking for them whilst they hide away in a cave and give Kohaku her beauty makeover. After finishing Kohaku's Totally Spies makeover and turning half the milk cast into femboys, they decide to send in Amaryllis, Kohaku, and Ginro. Like, I don't know why this is frying me so much. He really went out like Armin in that one Attack on Titan scene. Ibara and the Tsukasa lookalike Mars turn up to expand their harem, and this guy Ibara is like 60. They obviously pick Amaryllis, but Kohaku barely makes the cut, cause I'm pretty sure she was about to RKO Ibara if it wasn't for Mars. And somehow, this man Ginro gets picked too, like... Even after trying his hardest not to, Ibara is not beating the femboy lover allegations. They created these airpods for one-way communication with Kohaku. They plan on snatching the petrification beam out of the air once it's thrown by building a drone. Ibara's hideout kinda looks like Jet's village from Avatar The Last Airbender, and they got a bunch of bulky characters guarding it. After Kohaku scouts out the village, Senku sent a toy rat for her to use to send messages back, but since neither of them can write, we get this funny graphic instead. It looks like she's drawing a piece of doner kebab, but after they decipher it, it says that they managed to locate the spaceship. Once nightfall hits, Kohaku tries to go to the bottom of the Earth tree and tries to break into it, only for it to be covered in stone. So Senku cooks up something to help her tear it down. They give it to Kohaku, and she tries to quickly follow their instructions before checking up on it again later in the night. She opens it and gives what she found to Senku. He tells us that it's gold dust and will have small bits of platinum inside. Platinum is one of the rarest minerals on Earth, and him having even this small amount is already insane, as collecting a handful of it would take decades. But as bro keeps sifting through the gold, he sees more and more and more of it. That's when we cut over to a flashback of Senku's father, and to make a long story short, this man is basically the equivalent to Hashirama cells in Naruto. Bro was in the field putting in work 3,700 years ago, providing Senku with decades worth of incredibly rare materials till the day he died. Yeah, this is by far the greatest father in anime history. No one even comes close. what a terrible day for Rain. He went out like a G. Senku can now create infinite amounts of revival fluid, but Ibara realized that there are intruders in the village since the Soyuz spaceship has been broken into. Every now and again, this man's eyes turn into a Keke Genkai. I have a feeling he's gonna be a good villain. After Senku creates the first batch of revival fluid, they decide to revive Ryusui, but Ibara has taken him to lure out the traitor. They don't know that even when a statue is smashed to pieces, it can still be revived if it's put together. So Kohaku breaks it as cleanly as possible before returning Burr in pieces to the science team. It's low-key kinda morbid. They grab his reboot card and use his skills of the sea to try and revive Sasaki so he can help them build their drone. They scuba dive to the bottom, but Sasaki seems to be stuck, so Ryusui gets Senku to give him the revival fluid so they can revive Taiju. He will be strong enough to pull him out. W plays and a good assist from Soyuz. His memory is insane. They start putting together Master Roshi and get him started on building the drone whilst rebuilding all the other people who got clipped. They start making some good progress, so we cut over to Kohaku, who's been caught lacking by Mars, who figured out she's the spy. At the same time, Ginro gets caught up to the master, but he tells him that Ibara needs to appraise him first, and this man is looking like one of P. Diddy's strongest soldiers. He's up to no good.
You's a freaky ass!
After getting confronted by Mars, Kohaku drops her axe and somehow whips out a whole Zanpakuto from under her skirt before taking out the foot soldiers. They bum rush her, and this man Mars actually flash steps, actually uses instant transmission and saves Kohaku. Why is everyone who has this character design insanely overpowered, bruh? Him and Kohaku start going blow for blow, but Mars is barely even trying. He's for sure another Hanma family accident. He hasn't tried to end her, even though he easily could, and asks Kohaku what her type is on some Todo timing. She says that she likes people with strong character who endlessly pursue their goals no matter how long it takes. Hold up, does that mean I got a chance? Anyways, we return to Ginro, who used a sleeping potion on Ibara the same way I cheesed the Godskin duo in Elden Ring. He tries to get a glimpse of the master's face, only to realize that he looks exactly like Soyuz and has been completely petrified, which means this freakazoid Ibara has been running the island this whole time. He's out here moving like Epstein. Future Senshi here, I have decided to be the bigger person and not finish that sentence. Let's continue. Ibara wakes up and tries to take out Ginro, and surely he's strong enough to take on this 6'7" KD built ass old man. I feel like we keep forgetting that Ginro can actually fight, but he turns into Usopp the moment it's time to lock in. He tries to shout Kohaku for help, but Ibara drops down and hits Ginro with a British greeting, straight up recreating the way Crocodile did Luffy in Alabasta. Damn, he is not doing good at all. With his last breath, he relays the information he gathered to Kohaku. She runs up to the highest point in the village and shouts as loud as possible, tricking Ibara into using the petrification weapon, which turns both of them into stone, basically saving them both. Man, I need a woman who will trust me the same way Kohaku trusts in Senku. This scene was so peak. We return to the science team who revive Yuzuriha, who basically speedruns the building of the remaining statues. Amaryllis returns to the cave and relays everything that's happened to Kohaku and Ginro. The big five have a strategy meeting and deduce that there is likely only one petrification weapon, and Kurosame is the one who wields it because Ibara is too much of a coward to risk petrifying himself. Now they just need to figure out a way to take out Kurosame and Mars. Damn, Mars is really a Tsukasa variant. Everyone realizes that even if they jumped him, they'd still lose, but since they haven't been no-diffed yet, it likely means that Mars is willing to cooperate since he didn't snitch on Kohaku and Ginro to Ibara. Gen takes the initiative and offers Mars to join them instead by displaying their science weapons. Gen might be top 5 slick talkers in anime, right up there with Reagan Arataka. Mars agrees and explains that he's more than strong enough to take on Kurosame and Ibara, but the petrifying weapon poses too much risk. They decide to team up and turn Mars into the Eminence of Shadow and have him pose as a warrior of the Kingdom of Science to make them seem like they are extremely strong. This is a generational backdoor. I know he posted this one on the gram talking about some run. Why would I run? The science team knows that even if they get the weapon, Mars would likely backdoor them too. Never trust someone who's betrayed someone before because there is a 10 billion% chance they'll do it again. They create a switch so that they can Swiss cheese Mars when the time comes. They really build a Napoleon Bonaparte. They end up reviving Yo because he's the only one who actually has any experience with a gun since, you know, he packed someone up in the modern day. They get ready to head out and this scene just reminds me of that one low tier god clip. Mars signals that they are here and Ibara is moving like Officer Dokes. He knows something is up but can't prove it. And bro, they could've let Suika stay in the lab or something. They got her suited and booted in the front lines like my nephew Gohan and DBZ. Tom Platz goes in for the attack but Kinro basically no-diffs him. The nonchalant Dreadhead pretends to get overpowered, making the enemy forces staggered and tricking Kurosame into throwing the Medusa. Ryusui goes to use the drone but his spidey senses start tingling. That's when it cuts to a flashback of Ibara spotting Mars' new earring and then seeing the same earpiece on Kohaku's statue. After taking it and putting it in, he overheard Senku's plans and gave Kurosame a fake Medusa to test Mars. This guy is low-key pretty smart too, especially for someone from the Stone Age. Senku realizes this and tells everyone to retreat, which makes Mars hawk them down. Yo wants to Swiss cheese him, but it turns out that Magma stole his blicky to try and get the final kill on Ibara himself. I hate thirsty players like this. They'll solo push into a full team just to get knocked and scream for help. Ibara has taken the Perseus and loaded every single villager from the island onto the boat. He's planning on petrifying the entire island in an attempt to catch all the science team lacking. Senku isn't too worried though and plans on taking the statue and exposing Ibara to the islanders whilst buying time to prevent him from petrifying the island. The science team is rushing the objective to allow Soyuz to make it to the statue just to see that Ibara has broken it. Unlucky for bro, this is like when Wanda destroyed Vision just for Thanos to rewind time. Yuzuriha rebuilds the statue when we see a flashback of Soyuz who somehow remembers everything fresh out the womb. Who is he feeling like, Ray from Promised Neverland? His dad was the original leader of the village, so I'm guessing Ibara got power hungry and petrified him, forcing his mother to try and save Soyuz by shipping him to Ishigami village. The others bomb rush the boat and this man Magma is an actual Florida crash out. They manage to take some of the Ibara army, but Mars is approaching the boat with nothing but bad intentions. He instantly diffs Yo before focusing Kinro, deflects the spear, follows up with a poke into continued pressure, hits it with a side heavy and then knocks the fufu out of him. Damn, Mars is really like that, walking him down like a demon. They retreat to the bottom of the boat and Mars and Ibara got them cornered. If it wasn't for the number 2, the Joker, the devil born in heaven, Hyoga. They revived the apprentice of Shaitan and it's the gamble of the century. Ibara realizes that the science team likely has a way to revive the frozen statues and runs out the room, leaving Mars to handle the ISO. After Hyoga realizes that Mars is a sexist, it ends any chance of them teaming up, so they get to squabbling. And come on bro, they really had Hyoga serving face without those Inumaki face stats. They take the battle outside and then Mars one-taps Hyoga? Damn, all that hype just to go out like Bellamy versus Luffy round 2. Holy aura loss. Jokes aside though, Hyoga is physically strong, but he's more of a specialist with that spear thing he uses. If he had that, it'd probably be a closer fight. We end up seeing a bit of Kurosame's backstory, and to make a long story short, she's hella dedicated to the OG master and Ibara is using that to manipulate her. She has a good heart, but is in the wrong environment. She's basically just being used. Hey, I could really fix her for real. She stands up and asks Ibara if he's telling the truth, and that's when Taiju pulls up and exposes the master's statue. She realizes she was getting finessed, so goes to take the weapon when Ibara says, Ryuki Tenkai, 1 minute, 1 second, and turns Kurosame to stone. Damn! He gets ready to petrify the whole island, but our clutch shooter Haitian sniper Yo pops him in the hand. And hey, he could have gone for the head, but what do I know? It works out anyways because he ends up dropping the Medusa, allowing Yo to grab it. Hyoga and Mars are going band for band when Yo tries to use the Medusa, not realizing he doesn't know how to. Hyoga is on the back foot, so Mars releases his Nen. Hyoga runs onto the mainland because he realizes that Senku is probably making his weapon right now. Is this W character development? Like, he's trusting in Senku. He gets his weapon and now the odds are even. He starts pressuring Mars, completely putting him on the back foot. Sensational. Yo still has the Medusa, but Ibara drops from the boat like Beetlejuice in Attack on Titan Season 2, activating it and turning him to stone. Not gonna lie, this is aura. Ibara then takes the Medusa and activates it for 2,000 meters in 15 minutes. Now, up until now, I've really been going easy on this man Ukiyo, but him being able to hit Ibara all the way from the mainland is where I'm gonna have to draw the line. We are slowly entering Baki levels of nonsense. He basically put the Medusa in Chris Bumstead's body and had him running towards the middle of the island. This is pure evil. This might be checkmate. The entire island has been petrified. This is really how it felt when Thanos touched down in Wakanda. Ibara stands in front of the boat, aura farming like me, before walking onto the island. He makes it to the science team and they are all hitting JoJo's poses. He spots Soyuz and realizes he's the son of the village chief before smashing the meathead's body into pieces and reclaiming the Medusa. This is really a flawless victory for Ibara, if it wasn't for humanity's smartest man.
For the entire 3,700 years I was petrified. I remained conscious. The human brain burns through 400 calories a day. Over 3,700 years, but where did all that energy come from? E equals mc squared. We can't create energy from nothing. Petrification may seem like a fantasy, but the foundations of science are rock solid.
Senku is actually the GOAT, man. Easily one of my favorite anime characters of all time, and a fresh take on the overpowered trope in anime. He tries to use the phone to activate the Medusa, but realizes he needs to be close to it to work. Ibara was utterly perplexed, flabbergasted, dumbfounded even. We cut back to before everyone was petrified, and we see that Chrome realized that the beam travels at a steady pace. So after Senku calculated said pace, they set up a system that allowed Senku to be the last one petrified before perfectly tossing the revival fluid so it would land on him after he got turned to stone. And you already know when it comes to counting, always bet on Senku. So that brings us back to the present day. I know I said this before, but boxing with Senku is like fighting a combination of the Joker and the Riddler. He's gonna trap and troll the hell out of you. Senku gets the Medusa, but Ibara managed to sneak him, stealing it back. Senku is with his back turned to the sea when Ibara calls out Ryuki Tenkai. 5 meters. 5 seconds and lobs it in the air. But I know better than to doubt Senku ever again, because he revived Ryusui, he used the drone capturing the Medusa. They have a tug of war before letting go at the last second, seemingly tricking Ibara, but he full counter sending it back. Ryusui charges in, attaching the airpod to the Medusa, and this time I can proudly say it's checkmate. Sensational. This is what I've been waiting for. This was all about stand up now and face the sun. Won't hide my tail or turn and run. It's time to do what must be done. Be a king when kingdom comes. Well, you can tell everybody. Well, you can tell everybody. It's been a while since I blessed you guys with my immaculate vocals. I know you guys been cooking me in the comments, but I do not care. Senku begins reviving the rest of the science team army as they start reconstructing the Perseus. They also revive Kurosame, who tells them where Chrome and Kohaku are hidden, and damn, he's cutting onions, bro. That hug between Kohaku and Senku had me feeling some kind of way. Look at that damn look they gave each other before they hugged. I know they probably won't end up together, but still, bro. After reviving everyone, they have their classic One Piece post-arc banquet, and Dr. Stone once again shows us the classic forgive and forget, heavy emphasis on forget trope. These guys are cracking jokes and arm wrestling as if Magma wasn't trying to Swiss cheese them half an episode ago. Senku and his admirals finally get signal again on the boat when Why Man intercepts the signal, attempting to once again petrify the entire Earth. 2,800,000 meters in 1 second. Bro was playing no type of games. Now that they have a new enemy, they begin training and also revive the third Tsukasa variant, who's an OG islander who got petrified. His name is Matsukaze, and thinks Ginro is a descendant from his old master, and he's also extremely overpowered. After he tells them how he got petrified, Senku and the gang find out why Man is likely on the moon and will need a spaceship to get to him. It's really come full circle. We are really beginning to reach Phineas and Ferb levels of wackiness. Senku decides to colonize the island and make them their new island. This is really how Luffy did Wano. They sail back to Ishigami village and return to complete the final quest, reviving the GOAT Tsukasa. They initially wanted to test the device on someone else to see if it still works, but Senku suspects that the battery is beginning to run out after Ibara used it on the entire island. But either way, after a long time, the world's strongest primate high schooler is reborn. And of course, the first order of business is aura farming. Look, Gohan, this is the elusive but rare post-revival aura farming technique. He asks Senku what the situation is, and he tells him that they are going to the moon. Even Tsukasa couldn't hold it together, bro. What do you mean the moon? Like, what? Anyhow, they end off the season by saying they are going to that big America to find cornfields which will allow them to create tons of nitric acid. All in all, just another peak season. A lot of people kind of like talk down on this season, but me personally, I loved it. I think it's like still a solid 8.5, 9 out of 10 season. So yeah, let me know what you thought of this season in the comments. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I appreciate you guys for sticking till the end. Make sure you subscribe, join the Discord, do all that. I'm gonna end the year strong. Hopefully we can reach 200k. So if you see this, if you made it here, you clearly enjoyed the video, so please subscribe. YouTube thinks you like the video on screen next, so you might as well check it out. Peace.